Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday. Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyo Sukoyi. My mother, Yuskitadaki, Yellow Flower Woman, is 87, still alive. My father, Monokni, Pete Leonard, Iron Pipe, New Breast, passed in 2002 from lung cancer. My great-grandparents are Joseph Bullshoe, Cecile Russell, Awatsky Irene Bullshoe, Atstanikiwa Agnes Iron Pipe is my dad's mom, and Monokini Sam Newbreast Sr. is my dad's dad. I also come from White Quiver, and I'm just a protocol. You know, when you, as Jean says, when you walk into the room, you should introduce yourself. And so I'm gonna be your dialogue today on Wellness Wednesday. Woohoo! I was just so excited about getting on. I was outside and. So I'm going to finish the protocol. I wanted to start today with belonging, mastery, interdependence, and generosity. And so one of the generous things that my dad, Pete Leonard Iron Pipe Newbreast, left was, before he died, about 5 years, he left 3 90-minute cassettes, and he intentionally left them and gave them to my brother, Ira. And he said, when I die, you know, we all have an expiration date. He said, I want you to wait 2 years and then make copies and give these to your sisters. And so that happened. And even though that has to do, you know, the grief is always as big as the love. And we still grieve. It's been a lot of years, but 2 years was vulnerable. When 2 years after, you know, that big love leaves you, can be a person, place, or thing, or it can be, you know, your younger self. So I love those cassettes. I played them till they wore out. And you know, the generosity of my brother, he digitized them, and for my birthday last year, he emailed them. So I have them, but this story comes from there, and it's just, it's just from remembering. So White Quiver was born on the South Side, and in the 1800s, he was a warrior for our people. And so the story, there's several stories, but one of the ones I like, because, you know, you remember, and my dad said that, you know, he would always go out by himself. He would, so a lot of times there's like a lot of warriors go out and take horses and go out and battle and go out and explore, but White Quiver liked to go out by himself. And one of his favorite horses, it was a sorrel, and people, even some crows came and tried to steal that horse, and some snakes came and tried to steal that horse, and some others. And that sorrel would always get away from them and run back to White Quiver. But the story I like is, you know, Dad was saying, and the reason it's important is because my dad took care of White Quiver until he passed, until he crossed over. And so the story was, you know, often there would be, they would try to get White Quiver, you know, they would try to corner him. And this one time they had got him up against this cliff structure, and there was some brush at some thick brush down below on the ground there, sakum on the earth, there was brush. And these snakes, and that's that's what they're referred to sometimes. Nez Perce are the people over that way west, and I'm pointing. How Indian over there, over there. This is how they point around corners. Ooh. Anyway, they had cornered him up against that cliff, and that brush was there, and he anyway they couldn't quite go in because they knew White Quiver had power, so they feared him, and so they had cornered him up against that cliff in that deep thick brush, and they decided to, and this is about the patience of a warrior, and the patience, kind of like like us being patient with the U.S. government, us being patient with our democracy, us being, and like I was just thinking, what am I going to dress up for Halloween? I usually dress up like Bigfoot, a Moe Toppy, but I think I'm going to be dressed up like a white supremacist, and I'm going to have all my Babylonians shoot me with arrows. Anyway, White Quiver they seen him go into that deep brush, and this patient thing, they decided they were gonna outweight him. Like they didn't carry much food, and he had some of his weapons, and so they kind of surrounded it, and they were gonna outweigh him, and they waited a day or two. They waited a long time, but when they were waiting, this little black coyote, a black bear, came jumping out of that brush, and they didn't pay it no mind, and they were waiting they were gonna kill White Quiver, so they just let that little black bear in the story that Dad recorded. And so they waited a couple more days, and they thought, he's run out of water, because sometimes they would keep their water in old bladder bag or some kind of intestinal they would keep, but he must have been out of water, and he may have not had food, so he would be weak. And that's kind of like, with some of this government stuff. They're trying to yo-yo us back and forth and make us weak. One minute you got a SAMHSA job, there was an error, next minute you can come to work. That kind of yo-yo. One minute your Social Security is gonna go away. That yo-yo, and that's kind of what they were doing to this warrior, White Quiver, and so when they decided to finally go in, because he must have been weak, and that's topic of today is self-care of you and your family during this time, because we're not weak. Is they thought he was weak, and when they rushed in to that brush, all of them, they couldn't find White Quiver. He couldn't have climbed up that cliff. He didn't come out. They had him on watch the whole time. He was not anywhere in that brush. And so I was like, woohoo! So White Quiver was known to be able to shape shift. He could shift to other things. There's other stories where he shape shifted, being cornered, and a deer jumped out, and then they went in. He was nowhere to be found because he. And so you think about, and how are we shape shifting for self-care? How are we taking care of ourselves? And so White Quiver, he was that type of warrior. And so there was such fast change in 1880, 1890, even at the 1900. And so White Quiver went along with things. Part of my self-care, you guys ever drink these green things? They got kale, they got, I don't know, just like broccoli, they smooth it all out. Anyway, that's what I'm drinking. Oh, that's good. But you think in this White Quiver story, how with his connection to Ishtabakapio, to Nkashala, to Mahio, to Akparadia, all of, that's what the tribes here call Creator God, Ishtabakapio. Dad always said that interpretation was the maker of you that follows you all the way in your life until your last breath. And then they take you over the Milky Way. They take you to the sand hills. He used to call it Big Sandy. And so I wanted to start with that because every time I hear that story, it makes me want to sit up taller. It makes me feel uplifted, and I love the stories of our ancestors when they tried to genocide us and wipe us out, or take away our language, our kids, everything. And hell no, it didn't work, because we're still here and we're still thriving. And so I was just today, today I just have to share with you my I have a very good friend. She's my 12-step friend, and we spend time together. She had to put one of her puppies down. Well, he was grown, but I put everything on pause, and I said, come on over. And we spent the afternoon and the evening, because that's what you do with a friend. That's what you do with a friend who has lost a family member. It's a 4-legged, but it might be a 2-legged. It might, when someone loses them, the best thing you can do is just be with them and listen. Just listen. But we had good laughs, and her other dog, Cheese, and she named this dog, I just love it, because she always told me after Res Dogs, she just said, I want to get a black dog, and if I get a black dog, and it's a rescue, I'm going to name it Cheese. so Cheese has been in our life, for almost 3 years. So Cheese, this is how do dogs grieve? How do dogs take care of themselves? And so soon as Cheese came to the house, because Cheese's frame of reference is, my friend would watch Ocon Iron Pipe when Ocon was alive, and so Cheese ran in the house and sniffed all around. And I said, just let him sniff. He's smelling what's here. And it's like he looks for Ocon, and then he sees Ocon's not here anymore. He went over to the buffalo head. He was really sniffing that, but he was sniffing around, and I said, let him settle down. And that's, settle down and that's one of the self-care things that we have to do currently, right now. Settling down is to self-regulate. Self-regulate. Just like, like right now, take 3 deep breaths. See that, and that's, so we settled down Cheese, and I held her. We cried. I said, we got to get out the tears, and it's okay. Just keep crying. Cry till your snots come out. And then we went for a walk, and Cheese came alive. We went down to the water, and Cheese is one of these dogs that jumps in the water and chases sticks. I said, he's jumping, he's showing us how to clean off. He's cleaning off with the water. And then we went along, and he didn't like the one stick, so I said, he'll find his stick. He found a stick, and we kept throwing it, and he'd jump in the water. And then while he was in the water, he just kept looking back like that. And she goes, what's he looking at? And I go, well, maybe Cheese can see Max that died. We can't, because sometimes, and that's the pitifulness of being human. Sometimes we're good at, we can see the other side, or we can see through the veil, or we see the spirits, or we hear them, we smell them, they touch us. And that's, you want your ancestors and the good spirits to touch you. On Wellness, welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday. We want them to touch you and settle your heart and let you know everything's going to be okay. And so, so anyway, I wanted to start that. And as always, we're we're getting ready, and that's the reason I chose this topic. I bounced it off some of my co-trainers and my sister and my mother, and we're always talking about Gona. And Gona is a process, gathering of Native Americans. But when we did Gona at Siksika, it was gathering of Siksika Nation. When we did Gonas in Australia, it was the gathering of the Aboriginal. When we did Gona all across New Zealand, it was the gathering of the Maori. Kia ora, Otiria. And it has those four parts. And so I was saying to myself, and as I was getting ready here, I carry 6 personal pipes, but one of them is my mom gave me this pipe right before the COVID hit us. And I just made a smudge, and I asked Creator to share with you today some healing words that uplift us, some healing words that keep us clean and sober, some healing words that give us our fierceness to thrive and to live, because it's your birthright to thrive and to live joy. I'll say it again, it's your birthright to thrive and to live joy. And so no matter what I was just thinking, someone with dropsy and then someone, sagging around eating at McDonald's, that kind of bullshit. We don't pay attention to that. Unless you really like McDonald's. Because some Indians, they just wish there was a McDonald's on every corner. I'd rather just see an elk on every corner and, get some elk meat. Anyway, so let's talk about, those 4 things. And it's almost like your sovereignty of self. I love my dear friend Cecilia Fire Thunder. She always calls it sovereignty of self, and so that's belonging. So how do we belong to ourselves, and how do we in this time do self-care? In Native Wellness Institute, our bottom line is whatever the teachings of our ancestors are, we try to keep that alive. And so grab onto what was that your ancestors did. I was looking at it's cold outside. I got a wood stove. I burn wood. I have propane, but I prefer to burn wood. And I was saying, yeah, it might do good to jump in that water and cleanse. But woohoo, this is the good news. Since I talked to you last week, last Friday, I got the okay that the melanoma that can be aggressive skin cancer was all clear in all the meridians. And so, woohoo! So I got the clearance last Friday, and then I was checking in because I'm doing my annual checkup. So I was checking on my heart and my lungs and my EKGs, and everything's doing well. Except we identified, and this is why this is self-care is so important, is there's good stress and there's not good stress. That stress that, worrying about your kids, when you're going like this. Worrying about how you're going to pay your bills. Worrying about worrying about, betrayal of a partner, worrying the people, places, and things, because whenever you see Indians doing this with their thumbs, that's a symptom of still living in the trauma. It's having to do something. It's having to keep like a low grade manic, and so knock it off. So anyway, so I wanted to, so gathering the first phase is belonging, and so how do you belong to yourself? How do you belong to your children, your grandchildren? How do you belong to your mate, your wife, your husband, your spouse, your partner? How do you belong to the rhythm of the environment? So that's self-care. And so the self-care and belonging, it's like fingerprints. It's for each person, it's different, but there are some things that we really need to take care of. Like yesterday, my 12-step friend, we're so close, and it's been a lot of years. Whenever I need her, I can just call her up, and that's why when she called, it wasn't a text. I answered it, and I told her, as soon as you get off work, just you come up, come. So tell your friends to come, invite them, get your face-to-face meetings, invite them. I had another, well, I guess I can talk about Walter Lamar. That same day, early, Walter called me, and so Walter will text or send messages, but he called. And so that's normal when when they call, then my heart beat a little bit faster, because that means something happened. But that wasn't what he called about. He called because every year, and I love this, because every year he writes a letter to himself, and this is self-care. He writes a letter, and he doesn't open it up till the next year on his birthday. And he puts some of, a message to himself. And, and he said, when I was, younger, I used to put all these outrageous things that I was going to do, run 300 marathons, be buffed, have a 6-pack, blah, 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 all those kind of, he said, but now that I'm older, I'm writing different things. And he said, and the thing I wrote to myself is that I'm going to call every person that's important to me. Imagine that, so he called, and then he just said, you're very important to me because you live Nitsitapi way, you live our way, and it's not, you live it with fierceness and with authenticity and genuineness. And he said, and you're important to me because you always, your symbolism. And he said, when his friend Ernie Stevens passed, and Ernie was young, 66, he said, it was so, he said, I remembered I didn't get to tell him how important he was to me. So I'm calling, and he went on, and I don't feel like crying right now, but I started to cry because he talked for a long time and said why I was important to him as his sister and him as my brother. And so then when he was done, I told him why he was important to me. And it has to, from the time of his mother, and then you could go back in the ancestors. And, for those of you, Walter Lamar was an FBI agent. He was the one that, found the Oklahoma City bomber, interrogated him. He was at Waco. He did many, many things. But I also seen him treat his children, his sons, that he didn't get to know in the early part of their life, but later on, I see how he treats his sons and his grandchildren, and how he treats his wife, Cynthia, right now. He allows her to have her own career. He allows her to blossom. He's just there lifting her up. So it's not about him. It's about that having women that are sacred. And so I just started telling him that back. And so that's self-care. So I want you to think about, those of you who listen each week, is call people up and tell them why they are important to you. Even in write them, the ones that are grieving. We have several funerals going on. Ronnie Newbreast's body's being brought later this afternoon, but I'm going to go get Mom, and we'll go in tomorrow and visit with all the relatives at Old Eagle Shields. There's other, Verena. There's people that just passed on both sides of the border, and then for us at Native Wellness Institute, we lost our precious Sir Layla. She was only 43 years old. And so part of our team is headed on the way over to Pendleton right now to represent and to be there. And they're going to take care of it in the ways, Umatilla, in the Longhouse, Mission Longhouse. And that's when grieving, again, the grieving is as big as the love. And we have so much going on, the transition of new babies being born, but those that are leaving us. And so, and those, and my friends out there, it's just like those of you who still have your parents, spend time with them. Take them where they want to go. Spend time with them. Listen to their stories. And even if they repeat their stories, listen to them again. Be with them, comfort them, cook for them, drive them, walk them. It's right now, this belonging to ourself. We need to take care of those as we would have someone take care of us. And so I just, I wanted to start there, with that belonging. And as I was getting ready, I live in a wonderland. I might even walk you out. When I got up early this morning, I was looking outside and I thought, what is that big old dark pile next to War Pony? And it was a big old pile it's a big, I would say, grizzly bear, like a big pile of scat. And then I walked over towards the wood pile that we're still stacking. Another big. So that means that wasn't there last night. That was. So I just said, "Ayos tibata pihao ninna hao napi natusi no gaikimokit no gaspomokit boxikwe grizzly bear kayo." Thank you for being. And then yesterday we were walking. My whole house is surrounded by bear scat because I had a lot of berries, a lot of Savis berries. Canadians call them Saskatoon. I have a lot of choke cherries. And we ate as much as we can, but I like to leave it for the bears because they're gorging, because it's been like 16 Fahrenheit, and it's gonna, by Halloween we'll have big storms, and so they're getting ready to hibernate. So you share, and part of that belonging, you share the rhythm of the season. I'm just like, that happened. And then at the same time, I always I have windows. I have windows with no curtains. I always keep windows, and I decided to I always like go at all the windows and clean them because it looks like a painting. I live in a painting. My house is not the cleanest. I'm scared of people who have clean houses because they're usually serial killers. Anyway, but one of the things that just happened, and I said a prayer, is a woodpecker, because the birds see from one end to the house to the other, and they come in fast and they hit the window, and sometimes it knocks them out, but sometimes it breaks their neck and they die. So there's a woodpecker out there, and I was going to say some prayers of what to do with it, because I don't know, in the past I'd freeze them, I'd give them to Sukum Rick Grounds or one of the Ganaxtemidas. but I just thought maybe I should just save the feathers. So you put it out so it'll just decompose, and then you get the feathers later. So I haven't decided, but in a little while maybe I'll take it up to the medicine wheel and offer that Buffalo Eni medicine wheel right up over here. I feel like I need to go up there and pray. And that's the belonging. That's the self-care. I love going to that medicine wheel. And it's still, it's not too bad. And I got War Pony. I'm just going to drive up there and maybe give that offering of that, the feathers of that woodpecker. Anyway, I'm with you today. And so welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. And next week, I just love it because we'll be traveling. We're having at Barbie's Village in Portland, Oregon. We're going to be having two big trainings, and they've already been sold out. There's no more room. We're having a gathering of Native Americans, training of trainer, and then we're having wellness in the workplace. And so we'll be moseying over there. I'll probably go probably Sunday because it's often the early plains. Anyway, so Gona, that belonging, that self-care of taking care of yourself, your self-sovereignty, and I was just, I've been really treasuring my new, that Niskum that I talked about last week. I haven't decided how the necklace, I kind of got a rugged necklace, but I was wearing it today because sometimes you need to just take for your self-care, hold it and pray. And so that's why I've got this on. But I one of my elders always calls, because since I've been healing, I wasn't supposed to exert or lift heavy things, and I'm kind of off. I've got now I can't. I'm not going to go out and run a marathon, but my incision is really, it's like closed, and the inside stitches dissolve in 3 to 4 months, and the outside are dissolved because in 7 to 10 days. So it's closed and it's healing, and it feels really good. And there's no puffiness, and the cancer's gone. Woohoo! Woohoo! The cancer is gone. And that's where it's an act of faith, that self-care. In all honesty, when the doctor first called my dermatologist and said, this is not a basal cell carcinoma, this is a melanoma, and it's aggressive. So then, and I didn't want to freak out, so I didn't. I just self-regulated, and I said, well, so I went through, you go through, well, if this is it, but it's not it. And I just said to myself, this ain't it. Spirit said I'm going to live to be 90 or so. So no, I'm going to, this is just something where your faith is there, and it's gone. And so that self-care is taking care of your faith. And so my elder that called, and he always calls, he said, I'm just checking on you. How are you feeling? I go, I feel great today. That's because I feel really good. And I said, and we're gonna, Mom and I got some plans for going to the celebration of life. And then he always reminded me, and this is, so I'm just gonna share that part with you. One of the self-care things and one of the belonging, and that's why you get your Goksami, there's 38 different kinds of sage, is to take your sage. And he said, just make sure these next couple of days to really clean yourself off, take that ball of sage. So I went and I made fresh balls of sage over there. So right when I wake up in the morning, it will remind me to clean myself off, to clean my thoughts, to clean my soft spot down to my spirit, clean my hearing, clear my words, my umbilical cord, hey, right here, hey. It, just clean off your body with the sage, just rub it all. And take your time. Rub it off. Take it off. Rub it down your back. Rub it. And I took that sage and just kind of rubbed it on my incision really slow and just asked it to clean me off and not anything bad in any bad way, just to take it. And then you go outside and you throw it over your head and you don't look back and you're cleaned off. And that's the same thing in a sweat. That's the same thing in the many ways, Anishinaabeg people, because Lori and I have been invited up to Ontario, November 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Anishinaabeg people always get a gallon of water, about a gallon, but they'd 4 liters, eh? A gallon's about 4 liters. And you boil it and you put sage in it. And then you can put your bathing suit on or go out where you pour it from the top of your head and you let the sage go all the way down your body and clean you off. And that's a self-care thing. You can do it. So think about using all your medicines. That sage is one. When we knew Shalala was passing, I had a lot of flat cedar that at the Montana Two-Spirit gathering, people just gifted me a lot of flat cedar. So I just kept putting it on the wood stove, just asking, Creator, take care of this space. Make this a safe space to heal. Take care of her spirit. Let her go peacefully in her sleep. Let her be surrounded by love. Let Tessie, her grandmother, grab her with open arms when she crosses over and hold her and kiss her. So I was just putting that cedar on. So a second thing, take that flat cedar. Take that cedar and, put a little in your shoe. Put in your vehicle. Gift it. That self-care, and so that belonging. I was my other little relative, and I just got that ready to go. She's always says, Auntie, Auntie, do you have this? And so she messaged me yesterday, Auntie, do you have bear root? And and I just was looking at what I do have, and I ground, because my rite of passage, I ground medicine, and I have some, and then I just, in a little area, I have, this is to give away. So I said, yes, I do. Now, you either could come up to my house and get it, but they live way 70 miles, Big Badger, over that way, or I'm coming in tomorrow, Thursday, come get it. And so I seen her. She said, oh, good, I'm so glad. And so she said, I said, I'll message you. And so I got that ready and to give. So part of that belonging is the medicines that you do have, share it. Share it. Sit in a circle. Make that smudge. Share it. Even, and if you're 12-step, I used to like to do this. I'd go into the AA meeting and I would just go, and in the 4 corners I would put a little bit of medicine just to make it a safe healing space. That's a good prayer. Make it a safe healing space. Even put it around, the corners of your bedroom. Whenever you travel, always put tobacco down around that hotel room, because you don't know what has been in there before. But make it a safe space and ask Istapatapio that you sleep good and that you remember your dreams. I really like traveling with my mom. We always talk about our dreams every day. I'm probably going to give her a ringy dingy after this, and we'll talk about what we dreamt last night. And so that medicine and the other medicine, gift it. You're supposed to. They say gift it for the cycle. By the time you're going to go, we're going into winter, and I have a feeling, because my pet fox's tail's all bushy. And the loons have left. There were no more. The loons have left. I saw some geese. I was now the grizzly bear is pooping in my front yard. There's the signs. getting ready to, there's the signs. So, and there's so many yellow leaves blown off, it looks like a layer out on the water. It's just so beautiful because it looks like the ocean because it's glacier water, and then there's yellow on top. I'm just like, all the colors. So enjoy. Part of the self-care is, yes, do your work, and if you're lucky enough to have your work be, outside, good for you. You're out, but go out and breathe in the fresh air. Take care of yourself. Do that belonging. I'll just in mastery and go. Harold Bauman. And Harold Bauman is kind of like the grandfather of this process. He would always say a good question. So these are good questions to ask. He'd say, "What did you see? What did you hear? And how did it make you feel?" So, what do you see? Like I'm telling you, I'm just excited because of what I see. What did you hear? And this morning it was so quiet, but I could see the beaver just making. What did you hear? You hear the birds. You hear quiet. You hear pristine, and I could hear way across the lake because I could hear a barking of a dog. And I go, wow, there's no noise pollution. So part of self-care is not to have noise pollution, that chaotic, all that noise. One of they used to say in the framework of poverty that when the television is always on, and I have to say my self-care, I'm very selective when that screen gets turned on there. And so that what did you see? What did you hear? And how did it make you feel? And this is the part I really like. Mike Duncan, his talk was about fatherhood and parenting and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is where you kind of identify. And I was thinking, Facebook is kind of sad on some parts. They should have some Indian feelings like, how do you feel? I feel badass. How do you feel? I feel gypped. Let's see. How do you feel? Whole. I don't even know how I feel. Whole. They should have some Indian instead of, sad, mad, glad, whatever. But emotional intelligence. And it's okay to say, I don't know at this moment, and to sit and to self-regulate. Because I was just... before I got on, I thought, what kind of symbolism, and the symbolism that you see right here, I am an ally to LGBTQ Two-Spirit. And I feel so hopeful. I'm not going to do fear. And Steve Barrios and I, we visit all the time. And he was saying David and Mike, they got married. They went and got went to the county, got their marriage license, and now they want to have like a festive celebration. And then he lays it on me. He says, "We want you to marry them." And I just sat there and I went, you would swallow hard. And I said, "Well, of course I can." I've already married 2 women. I've already married. I mean, but it won't be me. We'll invite all kinds of entities to be involved in this wedding. But I am the ally. And I'll say one thing, and that started with the adoption of my daughter, Matumspi Astapopsi, center pole woman, or first dancer, because Buster Yellowkidney named her that because Buster Yellowkidney and Amanda had the same dream. And he came out, and it was right before he passed. He said, "I wasn't feeling well, but I want to come down here and name you." And so when I adopted her from a family situation that wasn't good, and they wouldn't let her be Two-Spirit. So I as a parent, one of the greatest things that I parented was just accepting her how she is until she decided to come out, till she decided to declare. And I always say, like, I would just tell her, she'd say, Mom, I don't know if I like boys or girls. And I say, that's okay. One day you're going to meet someone and boom, you're going to know. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Boom. She met Wendy. Boom. And then they were one of the first ones, I think, Valentina Lapierre and her partner, Anna, were one of the first two women to get married on this reservation. But I think my daughter and her partner, and they learned a lot. They learned a lot. And as usual, the only thing that tears any of our relationships apart is addiction or a mental health problem. So that's why this today's subject is about self-care, because we all, shoot, I'd be crazy ass if I was still drinking whiskey and if I was still doing, manizing, womanizing, izing, just all those kind of gambling. That's why I don't gamble. Man, that stuff that'll make you relapse. It will. Just watch people who gamble and gamble. I'm not talking about, anyway, we're not going to go there, but this allyship. And I thought, well, even though, right now there might just be the grizzly bears peeking in, some of my family will come, I'm going to hang that up because it's going to remind me that I have a responsibility as an ally, and that I have a responsibility as a parent of a two-spirit, that I have a responsibility for praying for my daughter. And she's making a go of it. Say prayers for her. She's over in the Seattle area. She's still sober, and she's making a go of it. And I don't have to rescue her or take care of her, because I did that while she was with me. I showed her everything. I showed her how to gather plants. I showed her how to make rattles. I just took her to ceremony all the time. And she sundanced. She pulled skulls. She did all that. So she's just got to remember that. Just remember all that stuff. And so anyway, that's why I decided to put up. So put your flags up. Put your flags out there. And yes, put your American flag, because I'm proud to be from America, even though, no matter what's going on, I still believe we're having great challenges because we're moving to, as always, we're fluid to a democracy. And I believe in equity. I believe in that's a collective agreement. I believe in that the have and the have-nots. The haves need to take care of the have-nots with housing and food and growing that type of sovereignty. We have that. And quit persecuting LGBTQ and two-spirit. Just knock that shit off, man. That when you do that, because they're holy people, they're like as many stars in the sky. That's how many interpretations there are of gender. And we have the ones that they have a special connection to Ishtabad, and they can help us all heal. So anyway, I might leave I got my buffalo in here now. I might leave this. I'm going to start hanging my flags, because who's going to see it? Creator. And that, as we, that mastery, when we look at hurt people, look at healed people, heal people. Hang around people that have longer time than you. Talk to them. Hear their story. And then take some time for the newcomer, sit with them and just hear their story. Because when you hear their story and you connect, that's where the magic happens. That's why Talking Circles and Avis Archambault, who wrote part of the Gona, who's been sundancing for 44 years, that's why she's so special. That's why John Spence is so special, because he uses the horse medicine, equine therapy, to help you connect to yourself. And, that interdependence, you have independent, dependent, but there's interdependence, and it's so much easier when you are interdependent with many, with your fellowship, with your village. It's just like right now we have to help what's happening in Alaska. They took away funds and there's desperate people. So yeah, send a little bit of cash. Call someone up. Listen to their story. Pray for them. You know, that interdependence that of Gona is just so important. It's where we rely upon each other. We rely upon that Sundance. We rely upon that longhouse. We rely upon that medicine wheel. We rely upon. I was just one of the things. I'm really excited because part of my family, you know, Josie, 16 years old, qualified at the INFR, and she rides tomorrow. So please pray for Josie Fitzgerald. Her Indian name is Ostokama. It means the characteristics of the black mole on the prairie, always busy, never caught off guard, and always thriving. And that's Josie. And so she rides tomorrow, and she made a treaty with the horse, one of the cauliflower horses. And anyway, they're down there, and I'm not there, but my prayers are. We don't have to be everywhere, but your prayers are. And that should be good enough. Your prayers are with your children, your prayers are with your grandchildren, and your prayers when you lose someone, your mom, your dad, your grandpa, when they die, when they go, all you have to do is pray and talk to them because they can hear you. Ask them to help you. Ask them to forgive you if you've done something that is not good or it's mean-spirited. Those of you that are mean-spirited, knock that shit off. Don't be gossiping and jealousy and all that crap. Just ask that you pray that you have the humility. Pray that you have the fierceness to do the ceremonies and to pray for others. You know, clean off with that tobacco. Smoke your pipes. Get your clappers, sing some songs. I was just so happy that the 10th annual men's gathering at Chaussee happened. And I was looking at the pictures, and I saw Wade way in the back. Wade even went down, but all Albert Titman, Mike Duncan. But I saw his partner because they're gonna get married. I saw his partner's son, and he's 17 years old, never drank in his life. And I could see him, he's breaking the cycle. And that's, I guess the message today from Native Wellness Institute and Wellness Wednesday. What are you doing today to break the cycles? What are you doing today to break the patterns that are not good in your family? What are you doing? What's your intention? And that's all we have to concentrate on is the prayers and our intentions of lateral kindness and the intentions of lateral forgiveness and the intentions of being good to each other. And that's, Gona, the last phase. And, I guess I'm in that phase of generosity, because it's about giving your knowledge, your stories. It's about giving the things that you don't need, giving that give them all your blankets, hey, give them all your snowshoes, hey, give them all your mucks. You start, give them this, give them all the jewelry. Don't take this necklace though. Anyway, generosity. Be generous with yourself. Like Walter when he called me up to say, call someone. Please call someone and tell them how important they are to your life. Feel the emotions. Feel the love. It's all about the love, and that's that interdependence of love. Just feel it, give it, and feel it. Give it and feel it. And when you give out, they say you'll get it back 10 times. When you give out, you get it back 20 times. And that's what we have to do, is we have to be confident. Confidence is a medicine. Confidence is when you know Creator's going to take care of us. Confidence is when you know everything's going to be okay. Confidence is you'll get through this grief. Confidence is when you know You might even lose your role. I like my role. Because I couldn't exercise for 15 days. And I was thinking, that's true. I will have to walk. I have to exercise. I have to move because that keeps my mental health. And I said, anyway, I was just talking to myself. We need to just keep moving. And I think that's why I'm going to go for not a fast walk, but I'm going to take a ride up to that medicine wheel. So I hope that you heard something today that will help you take care of yourself, that will help you take care of your family, that will help you take care of your village, that will help you take care of your reservation. Or, like in San Francisco, they have April McGill and them. Last night, I guess they got to see Bring 'Em Home, Ivan and Ivy's beautiful film on bringing them home, about the Blackfeet story of how we're bringing the buffalo back to be wild in Waterton and below Nenastico Chief Mountain, and how we're bringing back the buffalo meat. I just, the buffalo that I won in the lottery, I just took out some boiling meat. And it's the last of that buffalo, but I thought, I'm going to just boil this slow and long and tender. It's going to be tender-eeny. There's a little bit of fat in there. I'm going to eat that. I'm going to ingest it. And that's going to heal my body from within. And so I just say to you, as we're Native Wellness Institute, we're on the move. I think Lori and Casey are going to Isleta Pueblo next week. And crazy stuff. They're trying to knock down mental health in SAMHSA. So I think one of the foundations, Kellogg, stepped forward, and they want Native Wellness to go there and to do some of the healing in Isleta. So pray for the 19 Pueblos. That's, when you're praying, pray for the regions, the 19 Pueblos. Pray for all of the Dakota, Lakota, Nakota. Pray for all the coastal villages. Pray for all of those, Shalala and her family in the Longhouse. Pray for those who are having, I think up at Brockett on the 25th, there's going to be a bundle. And the bundles are closing. We're getting ready we'll be moving towards the solstice, December 21st. So there's a rhythm. And when you have the rhythm of the seasons, all the equinox, all the solstice, you also have a rhythm of self-care. And go get checked out. That's why I found the cancer. I get my annual checkups. And now they want to see me every 3 months, and I'm going to do it. Because I am at a high risk, So I'm going to go get the whole body checkup and every 3 months. So do that. Check up, and I just, and when you're walking about today, or you might be at work, or you might see this after work, just remember, we just had 3 days off, and it was Indigenous Day. In 1977, the United Nations declared it Indigenous Day. At Berkeley, California, in 1992, they declared the city of Berkeley Indigenous Day. And then now, all kinds of Montana, thank you, Susan Weber, Lance Forstar, and our other 12 representatives in the Montana State Legislature. We now have Indigenous Day. We don't, because that Columbus guy was a punk. He was a punk. and an a-hole, big a-hole. In the Caribbeans, he murdered, he raped, he didn't discover nothing. He was lost. And now we have Indigenous Day. So when you have Indigenous Day every day, that means you learn something in your language. That means you pray in your language. That means you pray with every living thing. You pray for the water animals. You pray for the Gukadoksi, the stars. You pray for... And so I ask special prayer. I ask you to pray for Native Wellness Institute as we're restructuring, and we're doing good. We just want to make sure that our team is healthy and healthier, and that we have grown. And so I think we're gonna huddle and get together over at Coeur d'Alene. Anyway, right after we leave Barbie's Village, but we're getting ready. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday, and I'm just visiting with you. I'm just dialoguing, and so we come every week to be positive, productive, and proactive, and we come to uplift. And so my encouraging words is to take better care of yourself, and the rest will follow. Sleep good, eat good, laugh, throw that stick in the water and watch the dog bring it back 25 times. That stuff invigorates you. And, I don't have Ocon iron pipe anymore, but I have these adopted fur babies, and Cheese is now my my real adopted fur baby. And we lost Max, and anyway, I love that you come and you listen to this each Wednesday. And it's for free. It's our give back, that generosity. We give back. We're here every Wednesday. You can go to our Facebooks and you can donate. You can donate to Native Wellness because we're an NGO. We take no federal funding. We only are from donations and from tribes buying our services. So donate to us. But I was just like, I guess I'm gonna take. Why am I so excited? I'm just gonna show you what's happening outside, and I need to go out into the land and look at the color of the water. A lot of the snow is melted. Water's still clear. And no matter how many times I sweep this deck right here, more leaves come. Go out into the sunshine. The leaves are blowing off. It's a little bit chilly, but it's beautiful. I'm airing out. I bought this sheepskin poncho from a man in Ecuador last week. Really keeps me warm. So I'm just having the spirits around here bless it before I wear it in the winter. So we come to every Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, and so until next week, we'll see you. Getsikako Mim. Until next week, and I'll see you next week. I'll be in Barbie's Village in Portland, and so maybe we'll have some of the other team get on. But until then, Getsikako Mim. Kitakito Matsuno.